So we're at the Jersey Buzz podcast again and doing some Jersey Sip conversations. What is that? That's everything that has to do with anything liquid that goes in your mouth. Anyway, I have with me today an old friend that we go back a super long time.
A couple years, I would say.
Yeah. So if anyone rolled around Princeton in the late 90s, right? 2000, you would have.
I was 97, 2003. I was in my Princeton. That was my
seen.
Princeton era.
Alchemist, A and B.
The A and B.
I was at Teresa's.
It was a beautiful place.
Yes. And we had fun.
We had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun.
Characters and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. So, Chris, you've been around some time, slinging drinks, creating a good vibe. You do have good energy. Oh. Everyone loves you.
I always say I like to create happiness. That's my motto, creating happiness.
Yeah. And you do a really good job with that. So tell us a little bit about, you've made mixology, bartending, let's make it all fancy.
Yeah.
You've made a living out of it.
I have, yeah. It's been probably almost 27 years, I guess. Yeah, I actually kind of started out in the restaurants as a dishwasher when I was about 14 at Gondola. It was in Chambersburg.
Okay.
And I distinctly remember taking the glasses out to the bartenders, and I was a dishwasher. I'd see these guys, it was Jerome and Bob, just the way they handled the bar, and the gift of gab, and just see they interact with customers. I said, man, that looks like cool. That looks like fun. Those guys are rock stars. And, kind of a few years later, I just, I left there and started working at a deli. It was a ShopRite deli, and people would come in and always ask me like, hey, I'm gonna have Chris cut my meat for me, and I'd always joke around with people, kind of joke around. And fast forward, I started at the A&B, and that was 1997. Remember, my good friend Jimmy hired me on a whim. He said, we'll give you a shot, and started as a host. I remember as a host, and the base was history from there. And started became a waiter, and then I thought about bartending, because back in my youth, I would say I was 21, but I wasn't. I'd always I'd be the guy to always make the drinks at the parties, and when the high school parties, or I swear college, but the high school parties we'd have, and I'd always go through the magazines. I'd find drinks. I remember the first one was a Lynchburg lemonade.
Get out.
Yep. And we went to, we were at Wildwood for the summer, and that was the drink of the week. I probably made 1 million of those, and we used our, the mug you get from high school, the big mug with all the names on it.
Yeah.
We were drinking them out of those. So it was from there it started. And it became a waiter at A&B, and then I said, I really want to bartend. I want to get back there and try this out. And they gave me a shot, and I remember the first night I was training, first thing they did, they gave me a bottle with water in it. They said, okay, let me just see how you're pouring these. Kind of just felt natural to grab the bottle, just started pouring them and getting those counts down. And there's 3 bartenders there that really got me going. If you probably remember, there was John Kraft. He was the bar manager at the time, who I missed dearly. I wish I could get in touch with him again. And also Tracy and Marisa, if you remember those guys.
Oh my gosh.
They're the guys that set me on the path.
Yeah, they were. That was fun. So I worked at Teresa's next door, and it was just what you did. You went next door to whatever restaurant was A&B. Yeah. And you would hang out with everyone and spend all the money you made.
Yeah, we were always the spot.
We'd give it to you.
Exactly. We were the spot that was that late night spot. Most of the places would close, and we'd stay open. We had a rule that we'd stay open until a certain time every night.
I know.
No ifs, ands, or buts. And, I remember I would always say, well, what if I don't know how to make the drink? What do you do? And,
make it up.
They say, just say, yep, and turn around, ask one of us, and make it red. And that was always the joke back then, was make it red.
Throw a cherry in it.
And then, and Tommy, the GM there, was always really good. You remember Tommy?
Yeah.
He was the consummate front man, and kind of gave me that, that inspiration.
He is a good guy. Did you ever keep in touch? I don't know.
Somewhat here and there. I actually see his sister a little bit more. She comes into Al's now, and so he's down in South Carolina.
Okay.
A pirate that he was, and he's down there hanging out, in a boat down there in Hilton Head, and he was a great
living
guy
the life.
There. Yep, living the dream down there.
I know, this is so amazing. So then you went from the A&B, you went to Trenton Country Club.
Yep.
You were there forever.
Forever, 19 years.
Wow.
I think it was 19 years. Yep. I started there as a bartender too. Just
Yep.
so I topped out the A&B. I was a manager, and I got kind of burned out. Wanted to just get a fresh start again, and so I went there and interviewed as a bartender and became a bartender there, and that was a great time there. I mean, with the banquets and and also the personal touch of meeting families and seeing kids grow up, and unfortunately,
weddings,
people passing away too, which was that's always the glim side of it. But that's where I got the term creating happiness, because I remember we had an introduction where we'd introduce ourselves to the staff. It was probably the first month I was there, which they boosted me to full time pretty much as soon as I got there, which was great because I needed it. And so we're up there, and then I go up to the microphone and introduce myself to the staff. Said, "I'm Chris Cap. I make drinks." And when sat down, and the manager at the time, her name was Abby, she comes over and says to me, "You know what, dude?" She always said, "Dude, you do more than make drinks, dude. You create happiness. Think of it that way." And ever since, that's the way,
But it's true.
Yeah, that's basically what we do.
Because when you work in the hospitality industry, that is what your job is.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it and you can't do that, you need to find another career.
Long-faced bartenders.
Because
just
you're
there
back.
for the money.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, come on, there's jerks everywhere for everything, including across the other side of the bar that you're serving. But the thing is that, especially today, you don't know what's going on with that person.
Right. Exactly.
They could be on that verge of taking their own life because they're just miserable, alcohol, but a smile and just like a quick, like, "Hey, what's going on?" Whatever, it goes a long way.
And that's part. Yeah, it's the big thing about it. Like, and one of the most rewarding things for me is exactly that. Someone would come in, they have a long face, and I say, "All right, this person's going to be a tough one." And if when they leave at the end of it and they're smiling and happy and said they had a great night, that makes my day. It's like, the money's there too. I don't mind that, but just actually seeing.
Well, everyone has to pay their bills.
Yeah, seeing moods change and things like that, it really does. It's a big thing for me.
I know. And so now you've moved on.
Yeah. So again, I was the club manager at Trenton when I topped out there at the Trenton Country Club, and it just felt like COVID happened, and everything was fine. Went back and did all this stuff, and I got furloughed, which it was right around Christmas time, which it's kind of like, remember Christmas Vacation when it gets the Jelly of the Month Club. But no, it worked. I knew it was business reasons they had to do it, so I get furloughed, and during the meeting, we had a management company at the time. The manager picks up the phone and makes a phone call during it. I said, "You know what? Maybe I'll do the same." So I get on my phone. I text my good friend Chris Worms, who was the chef over at the Ferry House when we were in Princeton days. And
Oh yeah.
I said, "Are you guys still looking for a bartender?" He's the chef at Alsa, and he said, "Yeah, we definitely are. Who is it?" I was like, "Oh, it's me." He goes, "All right, well, you start Monday." So it was history from there. I went there and worked a couple days a week, and it was all during COVID, masks and no bar stools and all that stuff. So it was a challenge there. But I had been out of it for 10 years. I was managing the club, so it really did help me learn that pace, get back into that
Swing.
interaction mode, which is always my favorite part. Even just touching tables is always the thing that I've always done, and that was the thing. And so that was it. Just changed. It was a little spark when I said, "You know what? I think it was really my family that did it. They were the one pushing me towards it." I think March I went back to the club, and I worked both jobs. So I did about 6 or 7 days a week at the club and 2 days at Al's. So
Wow.
do the math there. That was a lot. Somehow the Beatles song is right, 8 days a week. And so I was doing both, and it was I'd come home from Al's and I'd be happy, and my wife and my son were just like, "Dad, you should just make the change." And it was a tough change. It really was. It was, so September came around, and I said, brunch with Santa's coming up and Thanksgiving, and so I'm tired of doing that stuff. I said, "I want to."
Right, because you kind of got a little taste of when you were furloughed. You said over the holiday, right?
Yeah.
So you got a taste of being with your family.
Yeah, that was
because you never are.
Right, exactly.
You never.
COVID too did that. With
I know, and you're like, oh,
I worked till like 7 o'clock. I'd come home. We'd have dinner. We'd play records. We'd because everybody was stuck in the house. We had, it was we got to actually get to know my family, which all those years was something I
Well, you were
missed.
working to pay the bills. And in the hospitality industry, you work with the weekends, you work all the high peak times. I mean, your family, they're in school or they're working on the Monday or Wednesday or whatever that you're off. I know. And you work the holidays.
Yeah. A friend of mine would always say, we'd always joke around because, they would ask me, hey, Cap, you coming out to this party? I go, nah, I can't do it. And he always say, yeah, nights and weekends. Nights and weekends the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That was always the fun joke.
But the great part of like being in the service industry and bartending industry, it's like, it's fun. You're not sitting in a cubicle. Exactly. You can go in, you're slinging drinks, you're serving people, you're changing lives just by conversations. You freaking get bobbleheads and T-shirts. What's up with the bobblehead?
Oh, yeah, that's kind of an animal that just happened. Well,
everybody wants one.
Yeah, the T-shirt was funniest. Like we have a few branded merchandise at Al's, T-shirts and things. We're on TeePublic, and there's one that has a bunch of bottle caps on it. And jokingly, I sent a text to Carrie, our owner, to send her a text that says, "Why don't you make one that just says there's only one cap?" Totally joking, sort of. And 20 minutes later, I get a text with the mock-up of the T-shirt. It says "Cap, there's only one," and with the picture of me in my James Bond tuxedo from a country club night, I believe it was from. And I said, "Really, this is a thing?" And that year, it went on to be the biggest selling T-shirt on the TeePublic website there, and probably because I bought 20 for Christmas. But anyway, it's Christmas gifts. But
hey, it's a good gift.
Yeah, it worked out well.
I love
all
it.
Over the place. And a friend of mine was wearing one in Vegas not too long ago, and someone walked by. He goes, "Hey, I know Cap."
Oh my God!
It's kind of funny. It was in Vegas.
So think about this. You are famous. You really are. Look at how many people have crossed your path through the bar scene or whatever, and like you don't know everyone, but people know you.
Yeah,
everyone knows you.
It's an animal. It really is, because I have a friend I go to concerts with a lot. This guy Chris, call him Grumpy Chris. Hope he hears this. But we go to concerts a lot, and he's like, "How many minutes before you know someone when we go?" It happens every time. It's really
usually
funny.
Probably like 10.
It works out.
You work at Al's or whatever.
It really is. You cross past a lot of people, touch a lot of lives.
Yeah, but you always do.
Beautiful thing.
I've never seen you in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you probably have them. No, but I mean, just, you put you have to put your game on, but it's a genuine game. You can tell people who are fake. You can't fake nice, by the way.
Yeah, because I really do care, and the bobblehead thing is the really funny part. That was given to me as a gift from Chris, who got me my start there at Al's. Chris and Cherie, one of the bartenders I work with, actually got me this shirt too. And I remember when I opened the box, I opened it, and I had to close it and turn around and collect myself because it was just hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. I can't. It's got the eyebrow raise I like to do and all. And the suit I was wearing to a wedding over the summer, which was kind of funny, the little seersucker suit. But yeah, it was.
Look at that! See, you're getting T-shirts made for you.
Yeah, so I don't know what's next. Maybe the breakfast cereal.
Breakfast cereal. Breakfast with champions. Yeah, I know. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is, I know that it's come and gone as the tip bill. And a lot of people,
I'm kind of against it. Really,
you should be.
Yeah, because I always feel like especially they're talking about not paying taxes on something. I mean, I'm earning that money just as the Walmart workers earning their money. Or the whatever it is, whatever it is. Let's say you make widgets and you're making $60,000 a year. You're paying taxes,
right? And people don't understand that you have to claim. Like you have a bill. You get your total of rings, and it's associated equivalent to what you make. Like you do get documented. But the other thing is that people don't understand is that you can go home sometimes with like $30 in your pocket. Or you have a good night, but it's not every night,
Right, exactly.
Lucky for you if it is. So I just felt like who's making the rules? Did you even work in the service industry before? I'm good. I did my research and apparently no. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But just,
you're only making a couple dollars an hour on the books, then And is that the only thing that's going to be taxed? And how's that going to help
Yeah.
anything?
It won't. We'll have a
Yeah.
lot of restaurants and
Yeah.
places closing.
Especially if they, if it goes non-tip, yeah, it would definitely.
Yeah, you can. That can't happen. It just because of the nature of
And
whatever.
even if you saw how the overhead happened after COVID, if the prices have gone up, that's everything you hear. Oh, the price of eggs, the price of restaurants is no. Because restaurants really do run at almost break even or even sometimes a loss, you know.
Yeah.
If they had to foot the bill of paying, you know, let's just say, even if it's, you know, I barely make $20 an hour.
Well, when you pay staff,
so you make $20 an hour, and they're going to pay that. It's going to be a lot of money out of the restaurant's pocket.
Yeah, and in addition to that, when you're paying the $15 an hour, you're also paying the taxes on that, and then the taxes on that.
Right.
There's like different tax levels, and so it's crazy.
It would
It's
be
not.
impossible.
It's not even doable.
Yeah.
But then, what's going to happen to the serve? I mean, it's bad enough that most people are like hate what they do serving a table, but it won't encourage anybody to go the extra,
Right,
do a
exactly.
good job.
Or like, you know, let's think about like, you know, singing happy birthday at a table and those kind of things, and
Oh,
going
they'll
that
be
extra
gone.
mile, and
That'll be
you know,
gone.
like, it's just going to be, you're going to have order takers, and you know.
No, what I love
Flair's
about
gonna
it
be
is
out there.
that, you know, you are, and, you know, there's other people like you out there, you know, who serve and do it. You work your ass off and you make it a point to do a good job because you know that you'll get compensated for it.
Yeah, and
It's like a singer, a band, or an entertainer. You are a form of entertainment. They're out eating and dining, and you're entertaining them behind the bar. Do you flip bottles and stuff?
no, I don't do that stuff. Never. No.
Oh, I was gonna put
Yeah,
you in a contest.
Yeah, I tried one time just for fun, and I
Yes.
wound up having an absolute vodka bandolier go across me, and I said, that's not my thing.
I'm not wearing any crowns, chairs, or bandoliers.
Exactly.
So, you know, you're working at Al's Tavern. That's like they've been there forever.
Yeah, Al's Airport Inn's been there since 1933. I think that's what. Should be
Look on your shirt.
Maybe it's
He's looking on his
Yeah,
shirt.
it's about 90 plus years. 90,
Long time.
Yeah, and pretty much the same family's been there since about the 60s. You know, different members of the family, you know, have gone through, and
Yeah.
you know, Carrie really did give it a fresh makeover there right after COVID, and I remember going there when it was, you know, the old Al's, and you know, had that.
It was just like the dive
It was,
bar.
yeah, super dark, and the floor had carpeting, which was like the movie theater carpet that you would slip on, if you remember the old days, the movie theater carpet. It was
It was a dive bar.
Yeah, I remember there was these group of guys at the end of the bar. They would always sit down by the men's room and the ladies' room, big bearded guys. And one of those guys I go to the concerts with. I always call him the Al's historian, because he's one of the last remaining ones there. But they all they would sit in the corner and look at these big tough guys. And, man, I don't know. I'd be in there in my country club outfit and down by the end of the bar, and I would, you know, the other end by the taps, and I'd look down there and see them, and you know, a few times we walk by, you adventure through, and you see you realize they're not watching like the Motor Trend channel, or they're watching Food Network talking about the spatula they just bought. So you realize, you know, they're nice people. They're actually, you know, you thought they're these biker crazy guys, which they're nice people as well.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, just kind of place where, you know, you get the people, you know, see different cultures come through there and different people. And
No, we went there. That's how I knew you were working there. I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? And the food's really good.
oh yeah. Yeah, Chris done a great job there with the food for sure, and there's no small
Food's
portions. I'll tell you
good.
that.
They cleaned it up. I felt very comfortable there.
I think it's the best burger anywhere.
Great
and I'll say that.
family business.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I knew there was this fresh start. I thought it was sold, but it was just a different generation taking over.
Yeah, it is her. She purchased it from, you know,
Okay.
that portion of the family. I think that's how it works. But,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's one way to do
Yeah.
it. Oh, good for her.
yeah. So she's an in-law of Joe. Joe is a Bondi, which is from the Bondi family, who's had the business forever.
Nice.
And really great people. They're great people to
know.
work for and listen to my input, which, you know, I've
I know.
got
And do
a
you
few
just
things.
which, you know, you know what you're doing, so they should hopefully listen to you. I was going to say, you also, I have to give a shout out. You won an award for the
That I did.
favorite bartender.
Yeah, that was
So well deserved.
that was really cool. That was something that was kind of a surprise. It was just to see, you know, you know, I know the Mercer Bucks Central Jersey eateries.
Yeah, I was like, I know. Well, I saw that on there and I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. And then I saw the bobblehead and the t-shirt. I'm like, all right, he's got to come on. He's clearly becoming famous.
Yeah,
And then I realized it was Kim's business.
yeah.
And I'm like, she's coming in the podcast too. And so anyway, I was laughing. I said, you know who I'm interviewing? And she's like, no way. Anyway, it's great and well-deserved. And now everybody knows the face behind.
That's pretty.
The t-shirt.
This is that face.
Yeah, this is that face. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in. This was cool.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Documenting your first podcast.
Yeah, it is the first.
Yeah, I love it. Now you got to listen to it.
It'll be the first one I'll listen to too. So.
I know, I love it. Well, you're a busy guy.
Yeah,
but anyway, thank you so much for coming in. Everybody, if you want to check out this badass mixologist, go to Al's Airport Tavern.
Al's Airport Inn.
Al's Airport Inn. And good food and local business, so you'd be supporting local.
Yep.
As we do. Buzzing off. Remember to like, share, and comment because, Chris is a badass. There's only one cap.
There's only one cap. Look forward to seeing you all. It'll be great. It's fun. Well, I'll see you soon, I'm sure. I hope.
Oh, hell yeah.
Excellent.